Bigfoot Collectors Club with Bryce, Michael, and Ivy. I know a story of high strangeness or two. Let's do this.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Bigfoot Collectors Club, the show where we talk to amazing guests about their personal paranormal history and share stories of high strangeness. I'm your host, Michael McMillan. With me, always and only with me tonight, is your other host,
Bryce Johnson.
Rock and Roll Riley's still out in the ether. He's on tour with Tommy right now. By the time you hear this, the tour will be over. So if you live on the West Coast, I hope you saw them play, because they were good. They're not just good, they're great. So we'll miss Riley, but he'll be here in spirit. You'll hear some of his music a little bit later. It's an L-Files episode. We are reading some of your listener stories this week. But before we bring in our guests, let's check in with the Club Scouts who have been following the show on their favorite podcast app and dropping us 5-star reviews on Amazon per Riley's request. And there are no new Amazon reviews. We only have the one that we read last week. Y'all are letting Riley down.
I saw something on Instagram. Somebody was trying to write one, and then I think they got stymied by something. I'm not sure. I don't know. Look at me. I'm checking Instagram messages. But yeah, someone has tried. But let's just go ahead and read this one from Apple
I mean, this
Podcasts.
is Riley's idea anyway.
Yeah, and I like it. But for now, let's read what Hank1234G writes. He says, "I would love to be on this show. 5 stars. Thank you, Hank. Well, you are now.
That's all you have to do. If this guy's getting through, you can get through. Just write a 5-star review. Say whatever you want. We don't care. We'll read it.
Appreciate it. Thanks,
it helps people find the show. Just do it. All right. With us tonight to dive into your L-Files, that's Listener Files. This week are two of the biggest weirdos in podcasting.
Yes.
From What's Up Weirdo, please welcome back John E.L. Tenney. And for the first time in the clubhouse, Club Scouts of all timelines, give a warm Club Scout salute to Jessica Knapik.
Woo! Woo!
Hey, gang.
Hi, what's going on?
Welcome to the
How's
show.
How's it going in
back.
Royal Oak, Michigan, y'all?
Good. You said my last name right.
Oh, thank God. I meant to double check with you before and I didn't, so
It was perfect.
making sure I was correct.
How's it going? We're in the middle of a thunderstorm right now.
Cool. Oh, man.
No, just rain, no snow.
Spooky and creepy.
I love thunderstorms.
No
we don't
snow
get them
yet.
very much in L.A., but rarely ever, maybe one or two a year. But, God, I love a good thunderstorm.
Come hang out in Michigan.
Yeah.
I think we're going to start getting a lot more of them because we got one last summer, I want to say, or like last spring. Remember, it was like Portland out here. And they say
Right.
El Niño's back, baby.
Yeah,
It's going to get wet.
Nice.
Jessica?
Wait a second, real quick. Do you guys know that on Amazon they have AI writing reviews now?
Of course
What?
they do.
No way.
For who? How? What?
Amazon has an AI bot that's reading reviews and then generating reviews, and it actually says, like, this is a review generated by AI from an amalgamation of true user reviews.
Hank, 1234G, you better not be AI, buddy, because I'm going to be sad if I found out you don't really exist. There was a quick sidebar. There was an article about the former head of HBO that came out a couple weeks ago where he did not like it when people didn't like their shows, so he made employees create fake review accounts and then trash critics. This is the pettiest thing I've ever heard about in my life.
I saw that.
Yeah, pretty wild. That's what we came here to talk about, right? Jessica, Tenney, so good to have you here. Tell everyone about your podcast, What's Up Weirdo?
It's let's see. It started during the pandemic. Everybody was miserable and sad and couldn't see their own friends. So we would literally call each other with like not that much news every day because we were sitting in our houses, but just and you got like slap happy too when you were in your house all day by yourself. So me and him would wait till like 2 a.m. and be like, "So how was your day?" And we'd just be like crying, laughing because everything was so terrible. And anything that was like a tiny bit funny became so funny, and we're like, these calls are so good. They should just be a podcast. Like, I feel like people would think this was so funny. And we were both going through a bad time. Like his mom was about to pass away. My dog of 14 years was about to pass away, like at the same time. So it kind of was like made like a sad into a let's help each other out type of thing.
Yeah, it was super cathartic. And it really, I feel like because I'm the type of person that likes to have background chatter. Like I like to be at bars and restaurants and hear people having bizarre conversations. And I feel like that's kind of what I loved the most about What's Up Weirdo is that it's not a serialized thing. It doesn't have a topic at all. You can turn it on any episode and leave it on in the background while you go about your day. And it sounds like there are two weird people in your house talking about ghosts, UFOs, Bigfoot, Beverly Hills 90210,
Yeah,
Friends, and Titanic.
Yeah.
Now,
anything horror movies, news, like weird news, Bigfoot news, true crime.
When I was in school, people would be like, "Bryce, you're weird," and I'd be like, "Thank you," and so they didn't know what to do with that. But tell us what that word means to you guys, to be a weirdo, to have a weirdo podcast, because I think I take that word as a badge of honor. But what does that mean to you guys?
Yeah, Jess knows that when I do my lectures, I talk about the etymology of the word weird because it was from the 14th century. And I mean, I didn't know that when people were punching me in the stomach, calling me weird. But like I later found out,
the word was originated in the 14th century.
Yeah, but then I later found out like
Get
weird.
Punched again.
Yeah, finding out what made me even more of a nerd to get punched even more. But weird was a 14th century word, and it was applied to the people who lived outside of the domains of the like land barons and kings and queens.
Oh, that's cool. I never knew this.
Yeah, and it literally, the definition of weird, like W-Y-R-D is how it was originally spelled. Even in Shakespeare, they'll talk about the weird sisters. But it means those people who manifest their own destiny. That's like what weird means.
God, that's great.
So it's like literally existing outside the like structures of like dictated society.
Manifesting outliers.
Sure. And then, 100%. And then the name of the podcast, What's Up Weirdo, was literally just how we were answering the phone whenever we would call each other. Like that's every episode begins with the phone ringing and then us just saying like, "What's up, weirdo?" or "What's up, dummy?" or "What's up, frogman?" Like whatever, weird thing you call your best friend.
That's great.
I remember like if you lived alone, which I did during the pandemic, like those moments at, like my nights got seriously strange. There was because your days and your nights would just blend together, and you had no reason to get up in the morning. You had no reason to go to bed at night, and it was really strange. So I definitely had these moments with other friends of mine. I remember one I think it was like the Christmas of pandemic, like Jen Kirkman and I were on a Zoom call late at night. We both just started crying.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And there was just like so many wild, like, I was like, the next day I was like, sorry, we both cried on the phone. And it's just like, that's what it was then, living
and like
alone,
Jessica said, we were going, her and I, when it started, like my mom was like in the like last 6 months of her life.
Oh, Jesus.
And so like, not only was I like trapped in the house, but like the furthest I could go to get away from what was happening in my house was like the outside my back door, because I was caregiving her the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like I just could not get away. And her dog of 14 years, her best friend, was like going through it. And so, but like you were saying, like it goes from this weird, I mean, one of the reasons that people like certain comedy like television shows and stuff is because it's comedy and tragedy, right? Like you're crying and then all of a sudden you're laughing at how ridiculous the situation is.
Oh yeah. Well, Jessica, you've never been on the show before, so we have to ask you a question.
Okay.
What is your personal paranormal history? How did you get into the paranormal? Because you guys do talk. I've been listening to What's Up Weirdo. You'll shoot the shit about stuff, but it does always seem to come back to this stuff. And so how did you get into this, and have you ever had an experience that you cannot explain?
So yeah, I have had weird experiences, seen ghosts. I would say the earliest one that I can remember, I don't know how old I was, maybe 8, 9 or something, but I saw like a full body apparition of a cowboy in my childhood bedroom.
What?
Yeah. So, and me and Teddy still have jokes like when something weird happens, anything that happens weird that happens to be Western, he's like, "It's your cowboy, he's back." Like, so the cowboy is just like my childhood joke. But I bring this up on the podcast, and me and Teddy have said this to each other a bunch of times, but like, and you said it too. We were talking about a story before we got on here. You know that what you saw was real because you know what they were wearing. You know, you saw their outfit, you saw their hair. Like, I know it was a cowboy, so tell me it wasn't real. Like, I know what it was. I saw it.
Well, break that down. What was he wearing? What did he look like? How old? Like,
it was like full on chaps. I don't know how old he was. It was kind of like a thing. I remember it. I saw him from the feet, and then as I started to scroll, like go up, he was going away. So I saw like outfit, but I didn't really get to his face.
Okay.
Wild.
So that was an early one. And then aside from the cowboy, there was also like shadow figures in the house. And I remember there being kind of a light one and kind of a dark one. And one,
weird.
They were just like just shapes.
This is the
was
house
that
you
on the
grew up
same
in.
night? Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah,
that was
okay.
overtime. I used to do a bunch of, I used to play Ouija board a lot with my friends, which is, I know it's, some people think they're fine. Some people think they're not fine. I don't know
That's
if
why
we're
I
doing
don't.
it right, but there was a lot of experiences that centered around that. And one in particular, that was in that house when my mom was at work, we were playing Ouija board, and the dog was somewhere in the house, and it got to a point in the game, whatever we were doing, where I got really scared. And you know how you have a certain call for your dog, like, you better come over here and protect me because I'm fucking scared. So I did this whistle that I always do.
That's the call. You just say that.
Yeah. So I did this certain whistle that would make him come like immediately. And I did the whistle and he wasn't coming. So me and my friend like held hands and were shaking down the hallway looking for the dog. And we get to the kitchen and the dog was locked in the basement. And nobody did it. We were the only ones there. And so I let him out. He comes tearing out of the basement, comes in the room. So we shut ourselves in the bedroom and we go, I don't know why. But we went back to the game and we're like, did something lock the dog away to keep him from keeping us safe? And it went to yes. And we were like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope, not playing this anymore.
Jeez.
The dog's over there putting his paw on the planchette like, fuck this ghost. We're going to get this guy.
I know. That's very scary. I don't know who did that. But
Tenney, you know everything about Michigan, and not to presume that you don't, Jessica. I apologize, but so let's put this to both of you guys. I haven't heard of many cowboys in Michigan.
Right.
Where would the origins of a cowboy in Michigan, in like Detroit, come from?
Well, listen, we figured this out later that for no reason at all, my parents had decorated the entire living room of our house in Michigan in a Southwestern theme.
Oh, no fucking way.
Interesting.
We had no ties to anything. My dad used to watch John Wayne movies and stuff. So he's like, oh, why don't we have this Southwestern? And there was like, horse statues, and he made a wood wall and like cactuses. And
your dad summoned a cowboy ghost.
Yes, that's what we figured out. That like how you're decorating. You go ahead and tell him the nautical thing. Go tell him, Tenney.
Yeah. So when Jessica told me and I was trying to figure out her cowboy ghost, I was like, okay, so this is weird. And I was like, you had a room in your house that was dedicated to the Southwest and like a cowboy feel, because like 12 to 13 years earlier, I had investigated a home that said they had a ghost in it. And as I was walking through the home, like there was this kind of back family room that for no reason at all was just completely nautical themed.
Right.
And I was like, what? And I was like, why is this room nautical themed? And they were like, we don't know. We didn't know what to do with it. So we just went with a nautical theme. So they kept telling me about the ghosts they had in their house. And so I went back 2 families before them trying to track down if anybody had died in the house. And the only person who had died in the house was 2 families earlier. The like patriarch of this family, who everybody called the Commodore, who was this guy obsessed with boats, and he was in the Navy and stuff.
Was
had
this
died
L. Ron Hubbard?
in that room in the back? I wish, right? That'd make it even crazier. But this guy had died in that back room, and I was like, oh, he literally got this family to like decorate the room nautically. I wonder if the cowboy got Jessica's family to decorate the room like a Southwestern feel.
That's genius.
Isn't that so weird? Everything's so weird.
Bryce, you've got to decorate your den with Underworld posters and Kate Beckinsale, so the tulpa of Kate Beckinsale will visit.
No, I love that.
Wait, is that your celebrity crush?
Maybe. I love this because I had it backwards when we were talking about it. I was like, oh, do you think that like maybe this is like a Philip the Ghost type thing? Like they're making this Western themed room and then they sort of create this apparition. But I had it backwards, and John's so right. It's like, oh, actually no. As you're decorating this room, you're being sort of psychically influenced by the netherworld, saying, man, I could really use a cactus in that corner. What? I don't fucking like cactuses. What's happening to me?
Exactly.
But it's interesting to me too, though, because I know a couple of people in Japan who do feng shui for corporations and for businesses and stuff.
Yes.
And they always talk about like, oh, the energy. And like whether you call it energy or a spirit or something, they're like, oh, the energy doesn't like this plant here, so we have to move this plant over in this place. So I wonder how many people are actually decorating their house and like putting furniture in a way that they wouldn't normally do it, but are being subtly influenced by like the energies of the location.
For sure.
Well, think about it. You like live in so many apartments out here in LA. Like I always think, I know my building's been around since at least the 60s. So I'm like, how many former tenants are coming through here and like wanting to adjust things or fix things? Because I know I've lived in this apartment long enough that whenever I die, I will come back and visit this spot. You know what I mean? And I'm probably going to be upset with whoever's living here.
Michael, the next person that has your apartment will see the sort of ghost of a Jedi in your closet from all the Star Wars toys.
Yeah, Darth Vader.
Right.
Just a phantom Millennium Falcon
For
hovering
sure.
through
Man,
the
I don't
living
know.
room.
There's like some Star Wars shit happening in my apartment, man. I don't know what it is.
Or they just start like they're married and he just comes home and like puts Star Wars sheets on the bed and she's like, "What are you doing?"
You know that it's interesting because you always hear like the trope, like all ghosts are like Victorian era ghosts and stuff. But I can tell you, like, it's not. Like, we encounter like things that could be ghosts or spirits all the time that like popular music from the 1990s and the 1980s and like
a sublime ghost.
Yeah. They don't practice Santeria.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, I love it. Just blasting Bittersweet Symphony over and over again.
Oh my God.
This episode is brought to you by HelloFresh. The holidays are right around the corner, and HelloFresh can take the stress out of dinner by delivering everything you need to cook up tasty meals right to your door, saving you a lot of time, okay? Everyone wants to cut back on errands and spending time in checkout lines this time of year, so skip that extra grocery store trip and instead get fresh ingredients and delicious recipes delivered with HelloFresh. Just pick your meals, decide on a delivery date, sit back, and then wait for that beautiful brown and green box to show up on your doorstep. Let me tell you something. I used to be a no-cooking man. Now I'm a cooking man, okay? It's become part of how I identify. I love cooking with HelloFresh. I'm not kidding. I'm telling you the truth, okay? This week I made enchiladas. I made a crusted onion chicken thing that was delicious with fresh veggies. I'm eating so much healthier than I was before I started doing HelloFresh. And I'm cooking for my girlfriend. I'm cooking for myself when I'm all by myself. I'm saving half those leftovers for the next day. It's truly upgraded my life. Also, I'm eating a lot more vegetarian and vegan meals. I'm trying to be like my boys, Bryce and Riley, and it's working, and my planet thanks me. Turns out I love curry, and who knew that I could make it? Thank you, HelloFresh. Listen, go to HelloFresh.com/BCC free and use code BCC free for free breakfast for life. One breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/BCC free with code BCC free. That is awesome. And now I'm a little sad that I didn't sign up until now because I've seen their breakfast options and they look delicious. That's nuts. Y'all better jump on this. HelloFresh.com/BCC free with code BCC free. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. I'm a cooking man. So what have you guys been up to together? You guys clearly have done some paranormal investigations together. Have you ever had a shared experience?
Well, yeah, I was just touching on it before we got on here with you, but we were in LA recently. My first time there ever. Tenney's been there before. We had a very cute old Airbnb where the main house was like a big old mansion and we were in the pool house. And me and him were it's like an open concept pool house. So there was a bed and then there was a couch. I was over across the room, whatever. So at some point in the night, I saw a full fucking ghost in the middle of the room and I went back to sleep. I'm like, I don't know what to do about that. I'm just going to put my covers back up. And then I wake up in the morning. We're like making coffee, doing whatever. Tenney walks through the room. He's like, how you doing? I'm like, fine. I go, Tenney, this place is fucking haunted. That was like the first thing. It was the first thing out of my mouth. And he's like, go ahead. Like we saw the same fucking thing at the same time.
Yeah, she goes, this place is haunted. And I go, oh yeah, I know. I saw a ghost standing at the edge of your bed last night. And she was like, what? And I was like, I thought it was you like talking to the dog, like you had gotten up and were talking to the dog who was sleeping on the couch with her. Wow. And she was like, no, I thought you had gotten up and gone into like the kitchen to get something. And so we both saw this like hunched over, almost hooded figure. It almost looked like, but it looked like an older woman with like a babushka on.
Okay.
Yeah. It was like the shape of like an old lady. And we both saw it at the same moment. And then the next day, the girls from the web crawlers came over. Well, we were supposed to hang out with them anyway. And we were like, well, guess what? Our Airbnb is haunted. So bring any equipment if you have it. So they were stoked. And then Tenney had like sketched what he saw. And I looked at his drawing. I'm like, that's exactly what I saw. And we've seen ghosts a bunch of times separately. But that was like the very first time we saw the same thing at the same time.
That's wild.
I don't like it. It's not for
I don't
me.
like, the thing that always weirds me out 33 years after doing this is whenever you have any kind of an experience, especially at night, and you're in that kind of somnambulistic state, right? Yeah. Where you're seeing something outrageously unbelievable, and then your brain just goes, go back to sleep.
Just go to sleep.
Yeah, you don't get up. You're just like,
That was my question is how did you just go, whatever, and just roll, both of you, it sounds like you both just rolled back over and moved on. What's behind that?
I have no idea.
The shut off, like when your car overheats and it's like, nope, we're turning off now. They're just going to shut down because you can't handle this right now.
Right.
It just goes back to being a kid. And you're like, my only defense is closing my eyes and putting this blanket over my head.
Well, I
that's
think
all I can do.
I think there is some research done that it's like if you're in like a REM sleep cycle, it's probably a little bit harder to be pulled out of that. And there were some interesting theories battered around, like implicating that perhaps this time of high strangeness, this 3 a.m., 3:30 window was really just this magical hour for a REM sleep cycle and truly a great window of opportunity for an invading presence, perhaps like an interdimensional entity or extradimensional, ultra-terrestrial, who knows, to invade this liminal space that you're in, half in your body, half out of your body. The perfect time to sort of do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. The circadian rhythm, what you're talking about, Bryce, like it starts at 2:30 in the morning and it goes until about 3:45.
Right.
And it's the only time in the 24-hour period that these chemicals are in your brain, whether you're awake or asleep. Like there's this weird drop of like dopamine receptors and serotonin and melatonin start going crazy because you're supposed to be in deep sleep.
Right.
Yeah. And it's not that you are hallucinating. I've always like considered, what if it's just the time of day when your brain is able to pick up on the subtleties of some other world?
Yeah, right.
This would make a lot of sense for me. I feel like I can wake up. That's why I like the 3:33 thing. You know what I mean? Yep. I'm always feel like my brain is just getting juiced at that time. My third eye is like bouncing around inside
just
my head, and that's when
DMT
I see weird
all
stuff
over your veins.
Yeah, I get those like, do you guys wake up that late? Sometimes I wake up and I close my eyes and I have those like carpet fractal patterns going behind my eyes that I've only experienced on psychedelics, so that's when I know I'm like, oh dude, I feel like if I'm going to start seeing something or something weird's going to happen in the room, or I'm going to have a very bizarre dream.
Right.
I always get a little spooked out. I'm like, I try to calm it down because I don't want to see anything.
That would
be for sure. But I mean, I always try and keep in mind too, like, we don't know what these things are or what we're really experiencing. We have difficulty determining the motivations of human beings, much less like these untethered, like ethereal creatures. And I did a convention or a lecture at a comic book store earlier this year, and there was a little boy, and I had asked if anybody had a ghost in their house, and he said, yeah, there's a ghost in my closet. And his parents were all taken aback because he had never said anything to them about it. And I said, does it scare you? And he goes, yeah, it stands in my closet. And I said to him, I kind of got down on his level, and I said, if you were in a house and you knew that you didn't belong there, where would you hide? And he said, the closet. And I said, where else would you hide? And he goes, under my bed. And I go, yeah. I go, that's where most people see ghosts. Maybe the ghosts know they're not supposed to be there and they're hiding from us. Maybe you shouldn't be scared of it. It's scared of you.
Tenny, you just blew my fucking mind.
Yeah,
I never thought about that before. That's a great point. Whoa.
Closets, under the bed, attics, and basements. That's where ghosts are at. They're trying to stay away from us.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's good.
Invite them to play Nintendo with you. Get out the second Switch controller. See what happens. He thinks you're Michael Myers and he's trying to hide from you.
Yeah.
Take off your weird William Shatner mask and stop scaring that ghost.
I'll tell you something we're not supposed to talk about, and I'll talk about it in a way so I can talk about it.
Okay.
But earlier this year and slightly ongoing, I wish that organizations that had money and power would talk about their weirdness, because Jess and I are currently working on something for like a large institution.
Oh, okay.
And they don't want it mentioned. We have to meet miles away from where they are. They don't want anybody to see like their colleagues talking to us.
Right.
And I think it happens a lot more frequently than people give it credit for.
Whoa. Okay. All right.
But
this is where I feel like can I give some theories that you can't answer?
Sure.
I mean, it sounds like we're talking either something on the university level or something on the government agent level, or both.
Yes.
But, okay.
Yes, one of those.
Okay. Oh, wow. That's crazy. Well, you know what? I want to see what Jessica thinks about this stuff. Tenny, we know where you stand if you've listened to Tenny's first episode. Now, you're welcome to chime in too, Tenny, but we know your answers. So we know your answer to all these questions.
My answer is consistent with those
Yeah.
answers.
Yeah, opposite of mine.
Jessica, I'm going to go down a list of phenomena, and if you're open to it, you're going to say believe it. If you're not open to it, you're going to say bullshit. This is you got to someone is telling you got to choose right now. What's it going to be? There's no in between, okay? Rapid fire style. We can circle back and talk about anything you want to after we go down the list. This is a game that we call bullshit
Or believe it.
Jessica, on your mark, get set, ghosts,
Believe it.
Bigfoot,
Believe it.
UFOs,
Believe it.
Mothman,
Believe it.
Dogman,
Believe it.
Bat Squatch,
Believe it.
hairy alien UFO nuts,
Sure.
the Beast of Galvadon.
Sure.
You gotta say believe
getting
it.
off track
Believe
a little
it.
bit.
Yes.
Goat Man,
Believe it.
Momo,
Believe it.
the Yowie,
Believe it.
the Jersey Devil,
Believe it.
Mystery Big Cats,
Believe it.
Sasquatch.
Believe it.
Bigfoot bodies were recovered after the eruption of Mount St. Helens.
Believe it.
Bigfoot creatures have penetrated the subterranean infrastructure of Edwards Air Force Base.
Believe it.
You, Jessica, could outsmart a werewolf.
Believe it.
Interdimensional Sasquatch.
Believe it.
Telepathic Sasquatch.
Believe it.
Invisible Sasquatch.
Believe it.
Bigfoot looks blurry in every photo because he is blurry.
Believe it.
Finally, in our original timeline, the famous Bears family last name was spelled Berenstein, not Berenstain.
Oh, fuck. Oh. What? Fuck. I always agree with whatever people are saying that it was, and not
They're
how
saying it was Berenstein, not
Yeah.
Berenstain.
Yeah, I believe that.
Okay, great.
Nice. Well done.
Wow, you guys
Oh
are
my
the
God, my
exact
soulmate.
opposite on this. This is so wonderful. Did you know he said bullshit to every one of
Yeah,
these?
no wonder you guys
Oh,
have a great
every single one?
podcast.
Come on.
I think they were different.
You just said you saw ghosts. You said bullshit to ghosts?
Yeah, I don't know really what I saw.
They were
on.
asterisk
I love it.
bullshitted. They came
Yeah.
with an asterisk.
But it's, I mean, there were slightly different lists, but it is pretty great because that he literally said bullshit to all of them. And I don't know if, other than maybe Bryce, Jessica, you might be the only person who said believe it to the entire list. And Tenny, you're the only person who said bullshit to the entire. So you guys are like literally the ends of the spectrum here. The opposite
Yeah,
ends of the
it's two
spectrum.
sides of the
That's why
same
our podcast
coin.
is so good because we're so different. I'm so A, really gullible, and B, just like happy to believe that anything could happen at any time and nobody has to explain it to me. I'm just here to have a fucking good time. I don't need to see documentation. I don't need to see a photo. Just like, let's have fun for 5 seconds.
I love it.
That's
What's
great.
the thing that you two debate the most in terms of the paranormal? Do you guys ever get into it's this, not that, or do you know what I mean? Have you guys ever gotten into a heated argument about
Any
the phenomenon?
paranormal disagreements?
Yeah. Do you guys need to go to paranormal couples therapy for anything?
I mean, we need to go to
No.
couples therapy for other shit.
Yeah, paranormal best friends therapy.
Yeah,
No, we
best
have
friends.
we have good discussions about everything, but I don't think we ever disagree on anything. We come to pretty good ideas, bouncing them off of each other, but I don't think we've ever really disagreed on anything.
I don't think Tenny, you also don't seem like someone who would like really disagree when it comes to this stuff. You seem to have a pretty flexible imagination.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, I can't honestly tell people what their experiences were. I can give them ideas, but it's always been outrageous to me that someone can go to an expert or a scientist or a psychologist and that person is going to tell you your experience better than you. That's always seemed really strange to me.
Yeah.
I also love
This
that,
is kind of on topic, but go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that, something that comes along with the paranormal community, I think, is this sort of ability to keep an open mind about things. And God, that just wears well with you in life as well. Just, It's such a great quality. Jessica, what were you going to say?
I was going to ask if you guys either of you have been to, have you been to Yosemite ever?
I have, yeah, briefly, but drove through on a road trip.
Yeah, so I went for the first time ever on this trip that we were just talking about, and I feel like there is something so palpable there. There's this crazy magic there, and just like the list that you just said, I felt like any creature that you could ever think of in your life, any magical thing could walk right out of the woods in there, and I'd be like, yep, I'm not even surprised. If it was a unicorn, if it was a dinosaur, if it was whatever, I'd be like, that tracks.
You're
this
right.
Place is crazy.
It all fits in that backdrop, and it does. And it's just like you go around the corner when you see El Capitan for the first time. You're like, this is bonkers.
Yeah. I don't even know how that place is real. It's like Jurassic Park times 1,000. Like the center of the freaking universe open. Like the whole Earth cracked open, and I can't. It's the most magical place I've ever seen in my life.
I love it. Hey, Club Scouts. Here in the United States of America, it was Thanksgiving last week, and I bet there's a lot of cold turkey sitting in your fridge. All right, well, cold turkey may be great on sandwiches, but there's a better way to break your bad habits. I'm not talking about going to Van Meter, Iowa, and staring into the mind crystal of the Van Meter visitor and hoping that he beams your bad habits out of your brain. No! I'm talking about our sponsor, Fume, and they look at the problem in a different way. Not everything in a bad habit is wrong, right? So instead of a drastic, uncomfortable change, why not just remove the bad part from your habit and keep the fun stuff? And Fume has plenty of fun. Maybe they should have called it Fume. Instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. And instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses delicious flavors. You get it? Instead of bad, Fume is good. It's a habit you're free to enjoy and makes replacing your bad habit easy. Your Fume comes with an adjustable airflow dial and is designed with movable parts. That's right, movable. And magnets for fidgeting, giving your fingers a lot to do, which is helpful for de-stressing and anxiety while breaking your habit. Listen, I've told you this secret before, but in case you missed it, I was a bad boy once. I had some bad habits, and boy, oh boy, would Fume have been wonderful. I had to kiss Mothman on the lips, so I forgot about. He had to hypnotize me out of my bad habits. I wish Fume had been there for me. Now it's here for you. All right? It's pretty cool. I'm gonna say that. You feel cool using it. The wonderful vapor. It's like a refreshing herbal tea. It's the feel of the device is well weighted. It's perfectly balanced. It's so fun to fidget with. I know y'all like to fidget. You're listening to this show. You need something to keep you occupied. I love that real wood and the shape. It's just lovely. Okay, you gotta try the new Solano Fume. It's made with a premium walnut barrel and an onyx-coated mouthpiece that has a slightly softer finish. Oh yeah, baby. Start the holidays off right with the good habit by going to tryfume.com/BCC and getting the Journey Pack today. Fume is giving listeners of the show 20% off until December 1st when they can use my code BCC to help make starting the good habit that much easier. Start the holidays off right with the good habit by going to tryfume.com/BCC and getting the Journey Pack today. Fume is giving listeners of the show 20% off until December 1st when they use my code BCC to help make starting the good habit that much easier. Start the good habit at tryfume.com/BCC to save an additional 20% off the Journey Pack today until December 1st and 10% off year-round. I love it. Well, do you guys want to dig into these L files tonight? Let's hear your takes on maybe what some of our friends are experiencing. Quick reminder to follow us on Instagram at Bigfoot Collectors Club and on TikTok, Bigfoot Pod, and check out our YouTube channel for some exclusive video content. And if you have a story of high strangeness that's happened to you, write into us at BigfootCollectorsClub at gmail.com, and you might be a future L file. Bryce,
Yes.
what do we got?
Well, let's dig into this letter bag here. Oh, this seems like a nice one. Hey guys, I've been a long-time listener of the podcast and binge watcher of Expedition Bigfoot for quite some time. It's taken me a while to muster the courage to write in, but episode number 263 with Patty Negri has finally prompted me to share my thoughts. I want to thank Bryce for sharing his profound spiritual experience in depth in previous episodes. It resonated with me profoundly and brought clarity to my own journey. Throughout my life, I've always felt different, as if I were navigating life events with an unusual advantage, almost like cheating in a sense. My intuition has consistently guided me, often without understanding why or how. In 2020, I began working with a psychic medium to explore and nurture my innate abilities. During her episode, Patty mentioned a metaphorical radio signal switch that she uses to control her abilities. Interestingly, my mentor in one of our initial sessions informed me that my switch was constantly on. This revelation provided a profound light bulb moment for me, as it explained my struggles with social anxiety and frequent headaches. Excuse me. I would like to share a more detailed account of my experiences with the spirit realm and the fascinating thought process behind what occurs if allowed. For now, I'd like to tell you about an extraordinary experience from 2022. I was in a typical practice session with my mentor. By putting my awareness out into the spirit realm and connecting with those who had passed on, this session lasted well over an hour and a half. As the session progressed, the last spirit I connected with was a young boy standing in the back corner of the room, patiently awaiting his turn. The vividness of his appearance and the feelings associated with this experience has left a profound mark on me. Side note, reminds me, John, of what you were saying about hiding ghosts. He stood behind yellow caution tape, arranged in an X formation similar to crime scenes. His sandy blonde hair and freckles immediately brought to mind Opie Taylor from the Andy Griffith Show. As I described this boy to my mentor, it became evident that she had no idea who this boy could be. Usually, spirit will bring in loved ones, family members, or friends of the person present during a session, not an unknown boy behind caution tape. This boy repeatedly expressed his gratitude, saying, "Thank you for finding me, and thank you for helping my mom." After concluding our session that Friday evening, I continued with my day, perplexed by this inexplicable encounter. The following day, Saturday, my mentor had a man whom we'll call Robert, demonstrating pendulum work in her studio. Robert had previously worked with the Denver Police Department unofficially, using his pendulum and intuitive skills to assist in locating missing persons and solving criminal cases. During the workshop, I received a phone call from my mentor. She recounted the morning's pendulum session and mentioned the young boy I had spoken to the day before. Upon hearing this, Robert's face turned white and he began to cry. It turns out that the little boy I had connected with was a victim Robert had helped locate in Denver. The little boy was tragically murdered by his father. The boy had connected with me, knowing that my mentor would see and speak to Robert the following day. Without realizing this encounter with the boy brought Robert much-needed closure and inner healing involving this case. This entire experience serves as a daily reminder for me that there are forces beyond our control and that we are more interconnected with the spiritual world than we might realize.
Now, this listener wanted to remain anonymous, but they sent to us a photo and a link to a news story about this kid that I didn't really want to read on the air because I didn't want to dox the person writing the letter or the kid. But it's interesting. So there's actually some, like, here's the, here's some actual proof behind that there was this case. But
Wow.
there's a lot of things in this story that I like.
So
but I
much
want to
to
hand it
unpack.
over to Jess. Yeah, Jessica and John. What were your reactions to this?
Go ahead, Jess.
No, that was crazy. That was a lot. I was like, I feel like I was lost in your narration. Your narration was really good.
Oh, thank you.
But yeah, that's wild.
I mean, for me, when I think about, I mean, it's super strange because I think that everybody has a psychic component to them.
Mm.
And like that whole idea, I've talked to a lot of psychics and mediums over the past 33 years, and I've probably met, I don't know, a couple thousand. And out of that couple thousand, like probably 10 of them have really learned how to like harness what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And so that idea of like the switch is always on, learning to control it. The thing that interests me too, though, is like the way that spirit seems to interact with people. I know how. I don't tell people. I think I'm as psychic as everybody else, right? But like I get psychic impressions all the time. I think everybody does. I know what I'm getting them, but they always come in very strange ways to me, and I think it's individualized for each person, right? So like I tell people, every single person listening, every single person throughout their life, you get glimpses of your psychic powers in easy ways. Like you can walk into a party and in a fraction of a second you can know that party sucks.
Just feeling that energy. Yeah.
Yeah, you can walk into a restaurant and be like, fuck this place, I hate this place. Or you can meet someone for the first time and you're like, we're gonna be best friends forever.
Love at first sight.
Yeah, your intuition and your psychic power like is there. You just have to learn to focus it. And I think when people can learn to focus it, they can do really amazing things with it.
Yeah. I just also too love I love stories like this where something feels like a miss and then later is a hit, and then you go, oh, I am, let's taking this story at face value. I love the idea of the phenomenon being like, yeah, it's not about you. It's not about you and your magic powers. I actually have been trying to get a hold of somebody who may not be tuned in as well, and I just want to thank them, so I always love when something feels like a miss and then it's a hit later.
Yeah, Jess knows. The girls from Web Crawlers, I did a psychic night with them live on their show, and I was teaching them like the way that I learned to harness, channel like psychic powers is almost like an acting or improvisational comedy thing, which is you have to be willing to say whatever it is that pops into your mind.
Right.
And they were like, they're like, we'll do a psychic reading on us. And I didn't have, like, I was just like, okay, but I'm just going to say whatever pops into my mind. And so I said, the Chipmunks. And at the time it was like Allie, Melissa, and Maria were the three people from Web Crawlers. And all three of them like screamed at one time because Maria had just done voice work for the Chipmunks movie. Allison's father, his name is Alvin. Like Melissa's father was like named Simon. Like,
Crazy.
like this weird thing that popped into my head, like didn't mean anything to me, but like it meant something to them immediately. And so you just have to be kind of fearless when you're doing that type of thing because it can be really amazing.
Yeah, you kind of have to go with the instinctual, whatever the first thing that comes sometimes, it feels like. Jessica, have you had psychic premonitions before that you're like, holy crap, I don't know how this happened?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I feel like I've had psychics. We have a psychic friend, Exie, who does paranormal conventions with us. And there was this weird, we did an event together in Ohio, and I kind of tune into like their readings if I can when they're right next to me, trying to eavesdrop a little bit. And she's like, at one point of the day, she like pulled me aside and she's like, are you psychic? I'm like, I don't practice. I don't like read for people, but I do think I am to an extent. And she goes, it was the weirdest thing. She goes, I was reading for that person and I looked up at you and my whatever happens in her head. She goes, I feel like Jessica should be doing this reading for this person right now. And I was like, oh, that's cute. So like she got like the thing, like the feeling about me. So that was cool. But yeah, I touched on before we got on here that a psychic just in the last year, a psychic like reached out to me, who I do believe she's been in like a few different documentaries. She knows what she's doing, and she literally out of nowhere DM'd me and was like, "I don't know how you're gonna feel about this, but I saw, or I got a download from wherever, that you are the reincarnated victim." One of Ted Bundy's victims reincarnated.
What?
Her name was, her name was, you don't hear that every day.
No.
Her name was Brenda Carroll Ball. And apparently we have and we were talking, this ties into what we were talking about before too, about how, why do you decorate like you do? Where are you getting that information from? I've always been completely obsessed with stuff from the 70s decorating. My whole house is done in 70s. Apparently she was a big road tripper, and people didn't even know she was missing because she would just get up and go. And that's 100% me. I just leave. But yeah, and I've always had a really weird thing with my neck. Like, even in horror movies, I'm like, don't show me a neck slit. I fucking hate neck stuff. I was strangled to death. So, and I'm like obsessed with true crime. Like, anything I can watch that'll keep me from getting grabbed on the street, let me watch it. It, like, informational wise, like, it'll keep me safe. So it makes a lot of sense, right? So then I was making literally late last night. This was at like 4 a.m. So it would have been on today's date because it was after midnight. And I'm like, in case I bring this up, I was just like looking up Brenda Carroll Ball again, and somebody had scanned her license. So I have a bunch of like weird shit around my house, and like kind of like homages to people or stuff that's important to me. So I saved her license to my camera roll, and I was like, I should frame her license in the house somewhere and see if I ever get like a feel from it or something, or just to like honor her. So I looked back at my camera roll today, right before I got on here. Her freaking birthday is today.
Whoa.
I swear.
That's so
and I
wild.
don't ever talk about this. I'm like, that is so weird.
Yeah, that's great.
Did you ever have any innate, like, I don't know, have you done research on her to see if there's like, oh man, I used to think about this or that, or I thought I would dream
There's
of
not
this
that
or
much
that?
known about her, really.
Yeah.
She was only 22, so it's not like she had like a grand life story, you know what I mean? She used to go to bars, she used to listen to music, she was really into music, really into traveling, free spirit. I'm like, yeah, that's me, all right?
Jeez.
Whoa. Well, maybe, I mean, at the very least, maybe there's just something where, like, if it's not a literal reincarnation, and I'm not, encouraging one way or another, that like the psychic's even just tapping into, oh, you've got the exact same vibe as this person without knowing you, which even that is like to nail the vibe so well, from a quick read.
Yeah, we're like friends online, but I've never met this psychic in person, so she wouldn't know what I'm like, really,
Yeah.
That was wild.
And other things too is like sometimes psychic stuff. Like I met Jessica because I read her palm, and I was a really bad palm reader, and told her dog was going to die.
Oh no!
This was when he was a puppy. So he was not like old. He was like 1.
Right.
And she had just gotten him, and I was like, "Your dog's going to die," and she's like, "I fucking hate this guy."
Yeah,
say that to me in public. Who says that to somebody? Don't say that.
It's
Tenney,
right there
that's
on
the
your
first
palm.
mark against you on this whole series.
Yeah.
But Jessica saw recently, I read some palms for the first time in like 20 years at Michigan Paracon this year, like made people cry. So
Oh, wow.
I've gotten better at it.
Dog's okay. Dog's still alive, right? That dog's still alive.
No, this was a long time ago, so he is no longer with us. But I do explain it away when this comes up. At the time when he told me that, I did live in a place that didn't have a fenced-in yard, so I had to walk him all the time. And I'm like, him telling me that, I feel like did keep me very careful about the dog, just in case there was any accidents or whatever. So I'm like, maybe I needed to hear that message because I wouldn't have been as careful, and something would have happened. So maybe it prevented something. But either he's a really bad palm reader or it was correct and I prevented it. We'll never know.
I mean, all dogs do die eventually, so he was right.
I know. He was just really early. Really early.
That was a real jerk move. All right, I'm going to dig it. We've got one more for this episode, but there are 3 stories in it, so we get to switch. It's like an anthology. It's like a horror anthology movie. Here we go. Hello, boys, and they said guest, yes, to Jessica and John. My name is Tabitha. I live in Denver, Colorado, and I have 3 stories for you today. I will try to keep this short by avoiding any unnecessary details for each one. Tabitha, you are an angel. Number 1, the jackalope. When I was a kid, somewhere around the age of 8, I was visiting with my step-grandparents at their house in the mountains. Their house did not really have neighbors, and their backyard is basically the forest around their house. I was playing in these woods, still close to home, as their rule was that I needed to always see the house. And as I was looking around, probably looking for fairies, I saw something jump into view. It was a dark brown rabbit with antlers like a deer. It froze as rabbits do when it saw me. Excited, I ran inside to tell my grandma and was going to point it out to her from the kitchen window, which would have faced where I was playing, but the rabbit was gone. Before this point, I had never heard of jackalopes, and my grandma says I probably didn't see a jackalope and then it must have been teenagers playing a prank. Teenagers love jackalope pranks. That's what they like to do.
It's the hottest thing.
The rabbit. Now I don't remember any other details because again, I was 8 and I'm 24 now. But I know for sure what I saw. I know Michael said he didn't believe in jackalopes, but I encourage you to look into it deeper. There are traces of this creature in human documentation as far back as the 1500s. I say we just take these story by story. Tenney, Jessica, jackalope. I mean, this deer, she says this deer had antlers. I'm wondering, could it have been some kind of fungus growing on its head, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, Jessica loves jackalopes.
I'm obsessed with
I have one here. I love them too.
No
I
way,
want one
really?
so bad. I still don't have
I
one.
love it. Oh, that's great.
I don't have any problem with jackalopes being a thing.
Okay, great.
Well, there's also I don't know if I'm saying it right, but there's like the Wolpertinger thing too, which is like a mix between like a bunny and it has antlers and it has wings too. It's like a German folklore thing.
Oh,
so
yeah. I know. I've seen what you're talking about, but I wouldn't have been able to name it. Like
Yeah.
drawings of it, not
Yeah.
in real life.
And I think little kids too. I mean, I talk about it all the time. Like, little kids are magical. Like, they see other things that we don't see anymore as grown-ups, or we try to see as grown-ups that we forgot. But like, when you're little, the world is way more magical than it is when you're an adult. I mean, everything
for sure.
talks to you, the grass, the trees, the flowers, the bumblebees, everything talks, and you can ball up your fists and make the wind blow. And like, I have no problem with it.
Isn't that like a line out of the Bible? Be like a child to enter the kingdom of heaven. You know what I mean? Like, maintain that sort of child wonderment about the world around you. You know what I mean? And you know, and you can live in a magical place. You know.
Tabitha, I'm sorry. I'll do an episode of Jackalopes. I'll look into this 1500 stuff and see what we get. Number 2, Ghost Girl. This one is technically this one is technically 2 stories, but I have a reason to believe that they are connected. One night during the days of the pandemic, where I was home instead of college, I was about to go to sleep for the night when my door opens. I have a little sister who's 11 years younger than me, and she was around 8 at the time. So when I see a shadowy figure walk into my room, I think it's my little sister. I even say out loud, "What's wrong? Did you have a bad dream or something?" As I put on my glasses and find my phone to use the flashlight so I could look at her, when I turn the light on, nothing is there. A few years later, I had now graduated from college, bachelor's in zoology, and now work in animal care at a wild animal sanctuary. See, the jackalope thing, that's kind of, I don't know, that's kind of like a little sign maybe that leading you in the right direction. Sorry to interrupt. I was driving home from work one night and was taking a bend in the highway when the figure of a little girl was suddenly lit up in my headlights. I could make her out so clearly. From the light blue dress and white shoes to her light brown hair and ringlets, Jessica, just like you said, except her face was blurry. She was mid-skip when my headlight hit her, and I almost swerved out of my lane when I saw her. However, there was no bump of me hitting a little girl and nothing in my rearview mirror. I didn't consider these events related till I started listening to your podcast, and it occurred to me the girl would have been the same height as the shadow figure. I don't know only one. I don't know only one. Oh, okay. I don't know if. Sorry, this is typed out a little strange. Only one little girl that I know of that have died in my life, and this. I don't know of any little girl that has died in my life. Okay, there we go. And the stretch of highway in the middle of nowhere is in the middle of nowhere. So why would there be a ghost there? I almost wonder if it's not a ghost, but something else. Curious what you guys think. I don't know. Maybe you got a ghost, little girl ghost following you around, or maybe this is a coincidence. What do you guys think?
I mean, she might have a ghost girl. I try and get as weird with stuff as possible, right?
That's why we have you here.
And like, I have to wonder, because her first ghost story, like, she's so calm about it when she's a little girl, or when she's younger and sees the little girl. Like, if it's the same ghost, I have to start wondering when the events occurred for the ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Like, was the ghost visiting her first in the present when she almost hits her with the car?
Yes.
Right? And that makes her more apt in the past, if the ghost girl shows up when she's young, to make her like calm and relaxed and seem familiar because she had met her in the future already.
Yes, like the ghost is sort of time traveling and moving in the opposite direction, moving backwards in time while she's moving forward in time.
Right.
Yeah. I like that. Or maybe came to check on her to be like, it's all good. You didn't actually hit me. I was always a ghost.
Yeah.
I'm even going so far as to wonder, is the jackalope and this ghost girl like maybe the same thing showing up in different forms? I wouldn't count that out either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I like this idea of like, we get so many shadow people encounters and stories. What if these sort of shadow entities are sort of amorphous until we ascribe them sort of personality or characteristic traits? You know what I mean? They're sort of just amorphous blobs of like shadowy entity mass. And when they enter your bedroom, you're sort of psychically passing along to them maybe some characteristics, and they take those on, and then maybe they come back the next night as a little girl's, selling Girl Scout cookies because that's what you put there. I don't know. I like this idea of shadow entities being able to take on these different aspects.
I talk in my lectures, Jess knows this. In my lectures, I talk about how I feel like familiar spirits that people see, grandma, grandpa, loved ones that have passed away, like that they're not manifesting outside of us, that they're using the imagery that we already have stored in our brains.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like for those entities that we don't have an image for, we have templates, which is why people see like a woman in white or a shadowed man. Imagery. Yeah, that there's just archetypal imagery, and it's them searching around in your brain for whatever looks the most like them. And like at the moment that they first pop into your reality, they don't have a good one, so they just pick like the template of
They're just
a
going
man's
through
figure.
your files, your mind files, and like, oh, I'll use that.
Yeah.
Oh, that scares
it's like
you.
selecting
That's
their
good.
avatar in a video game. You're like, I haven't unlocked like the the customization.
Which my son is
in this
obsessed
yet.
with. That's his favorite part of every video game, by the way, is picking the outline and the look, and so maybe there's something to that.
And I think that's why sometimes, like, even I think it happens with UFO encounters too. Like as we get more imagery in our brain of stranger stuff, like as there are more superhero movies, more alien movies, more science fiction movies, we have more imagery in our brain for these creatures and entities to draw from. So then they go from being like, everybody saw Greys in movies and in television. So everybody saw Greys. It was an easy default image. Yep. But then like as movies got wilder and more images got put in our heads, the aliens, entities, ghosts, and spirits are like, oh, I'm not locked into looking like a woman in white. I can make myself like a giant triangle with legs.
Right. Pyramid Man from
love it.
what is it, Silent Hill. I love that too, and it also explains why so many of the UFOs in the 50s and 60s looked like weird, clunky, bad, like special effects 50s B movies, you know.
Yeah, they had exhaust pipes and smoke. And
Yeah. Looked like they were made out of cardboard.
Well, I always love those UFO landing stories too, where like they need to like borrow a wrench or something, or like they see the pilots like, you know, like turning screws on the craft, like, oh, just changing our space oil, don't mind us, you know.
Yeah, I took Jessica when we were on our road trip. I took her to Socorro, New Mexico, where Ronnie Zamora, the police officer, and they've got a huge like mural painted there now for him. But that's one of those instances where he like pulls up on them and they're fixing the ship, and then they have to run away and fly away.
Right.
It's my favorite. I love that story. Jessica, final thoughts on Ghost Girl before we move on?
Just kind of, I don't know if it kind of what you guys were saying, like how you talk to people and they're like, oh, have you seen a ghost? I've never seen a ghost. Like some people either say they're open to it, but they're not really open to it. So it'll never like come through for them. So if people are open to it and you can see a ghost, then why couldn't you also see a cryptid, fucking jackalope, anything? Maybe once you're open to, you know, they've broken through that thing in your mind of like, am I going to see stuff or am I not going to see stuff? Like, who knows where you're going to see at that point? You could be open to all of the things.
Yeah. I agree with that. And I also love that again, it's sort of like you think it's a miss and it turns out to be a hit. I love ghost stories that start where they think just a normal person has walked in the room and they're not scared or think to be scared until they're suddenly not there anymore. And they're like, wait a minute, that was weird. And both of these kind of have that to it too. They're not thinking ghost when it happens. It's only afterwards that they're like, hold up. Yeah. All right. Number 3, dream warning for Bryce.
What?
Originally, I was going to include this spot in a story I was going to include in this spot a story my friend from Pennsylvania told me about when she saw a possible Wendigo cross in front of her car one night. However, I had this dream and felt like you guys might be interested. Okay. I have hyperphantasia and therefore tend to have vivid dreams almost every night and tend to almost always remember my dreams, so I don't always put much stock in what I see.
Oh, that's so great.
Every once in a while, I have a dream that feels like more than just my brain making stuff up. I can send another email with some of these if you guys want. This dream felt like one of those. In my dream, I was doing a Bigfoot hunt with Bryce and 2 cameramen for Expedition Bigfoot.
Great.
When we were in some kind of area like the Grand Canyon. We were surrounded by tan cliffs and rocks and desert shrubs. We were going up a hill, about to wrap for the day, when suddenly I spot a cave entrance. I call for Bryce and the cameraman. They were way ahead of me at this point, and Bryce was down to go into the cave. However, when we enter, we didn't find Bigfoot, but a large altar surrounded by candles and dried blood in the middle. I dipped my finger in the candle, and the wax was still wet, meaning someone or something was just there. There's another room that had dining chairs and a giant rock that looks like a skull in the back of the cave. I suddenly was overtaken by gut-wrenching fear, and something kept telling me we shouldn't be there, and we had to leave now. And I woke up because my alarm clock was going off. Now, as a disclaimer, I am a practicing witch, so the altar itself wouldn't have given me such a reaction, but there was some kind of overwhelming darkness that I feel brushed by me, and I somehow had to just get up and go about my day like my soul wasn't shook to its core. Was it a warning for Bryce to avoid caves in the Grand Canyon? Or was I just watching too much Expedition Bigfoot before bed? Thanks for reading. If you did, no problem if you didn't. Have a good morning, afternoon, or night. Thanks. Yes. This is really funny. Obviously, we don't always put the clearly dream ones in there, but I think because they felt like maybe there was a warning for you, and we don't know where Expedition Bigfoot Season 5 is going to go,
Sure.
So be careful of caves, Bryce.
Well, if we don't know exactly yet if we'll be doing a season, but so we'll let you know. But you know, first of all, I love this dream, and I love. I think it's kind of fascinating. You know, I was always fascinated. There's this great case that came out of the early 1900s. John, you might know something about this. I think the guy's name was Kincaid or something. He was like boating down the Colorado River when he spotted this cave up in the Grand Canyon, and he somehow managed to go up into it and explore it, where he found all these artifacts from the ancient East, like perhaps even Egypt, suggesting that, you know, somebody had come and brought these relics from the Far East and stored them in this man-made cave in Egypt, in the Grand Canyon. But yeah, I love that. And I love the altar too in the cave. There's something so witchy sometimes about hunting Bigfoot, which I love. I love sort of this esoteric occult aspect of Bigfoot hunting. But John, what do you make of all this stuff?
Well, it's a dream.
Yeah.
Right.
So dreams present themselves like I feel like psychic impressions do.
Mm-hmm.
So like Wendigos, like I think that's how the story started.
Well, there
right?
was they said there was another story about a Wendigo, but they decided to tell the dream story instead.
All right.
There's an embarrassment of riches here.
There's a lot going on. Yeah.
There's a lot going on. I mean, I don't know. So like, if I was looking at it as a premonitory dream for you, Bryce, like I would not be so concerned with the Grand Canyon,
right?
But like if you're going on an expedition for the episode,
Mm-hmm.
and like you come to a canyon, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Like I think a Grand Canyon is getting the idea across of a canyon.
Right. Sure.
Don't miss. It's a way to
good.
like make sure you don't miss this clue. We're gonna give you the biggest clue possible.
Minimize it. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd stay vigilant.
Yeah,
that's good.
Watch out for
I
candles.
get
altars,
so nervous
caves,
in
and
tight
canyons.
spaces. I don't know, like Maria gets inside, and Russell too. They'll get into these caves. They'll explore these caves, spelunking, and there's no fucking way. Like if I have to like suck in and squeeze through, no, there's no way. I have like nightmares about getting trapped and not being able to come back.
I hate being in caves. I hate being in caves too. I hate being in like small confined spaces. And Jessica knows this story. I was in Hawaii once, and a guy wanted to take me to where the Menehune live, the little people on the island in Hawaii. And so we went into this giant cave, which I didn't have a problem with, and it had a lake in it. And he swam to like the side of the mountain. God. And he was like, I swam over to him, and I was like, where is this, where the Menehune are? And he's like, no. He's like, kick with your legs forward. He's like, there's a tunnel. We're going to go through this tunnel under the water, and we'll come up deeper.
Nope.
And I did it.
Nope.
I held my breath and like swam through this tiny tunnel, and then I came up further under the mountain in another lake, and he was like, this is where the Menehune live. But there was this moment when like what I'm swimming through this hole, like it's rubbing against the top of my back, and I'm underwater holding my breath, and I was like, oh, this is how I die. I never want to do this ever again.
Nightmare fuel for me.
No, never.
Jessica, John, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for listening to these stories. Where can people find your stuff and
listen to your incredible podcast? Yeah.
Where can they find What's Up Weirdo?
You want me to do it?
Go, Jessica.
Okay. What's Up Weirdo podcast on all streaming platforms. At Jessica Knapik on Twitter, at John E.L. Tenney on Twitter, at WUW Pod on Instagram. Find us at conventions and haunted locations and Olive Garden.
This is dropping at the end of November. Do you guys have anything coming up in December that people could come to?
We do have a secret haunted location that we'll be investigating and doing a weekend trip that people can join us at. But I'm going to drop it in our Patreon, and it's going to sell out real fast. So if you're not a Patreon, But we have private access to a very famous haunted location. So if you want to come, check it out. Go to
there you go. Become a Patreon of What's Up Weirdo. Yeah.
Yeah, and in early December, I have kind of my last bigger event of the year, which is a Strange Escapes, which is owned by Amy Bruni.
Oh, yeah, of course. Been on the show.
And Amy and I are going to Palmyra, New York, where the spiritualism of the Fox Sisters kind of began. We're going to investigate like the Fox Sisters Museum, and I think that's really limited. It's only like 30 people, but that's at strange-escapes.com.
Okay,
there you
great.
go.
I love it. You guys are the best. I love What's Up Weirdo. Guys, check it out. I've been catching up. It's so fun. And you guys really do have such a fun friendship, and the chemistry is great. So perfect for late night drives that are about 30 minutes long. So you feel like you have someone in the car with you. And it's great. So I recommend everybody check it out. Thank you, John. And thank you, Jessica.
Oh, thank you for having
guys.
us.
Thank you so much.
All right, one more big thanks to John and Jess, and a huge thanks to all of you out there, especially this week's freaky friends. Bryce, let's do some Patreon shout-outs.
Yeah, let's do it.
Club Scouts who recently crossed over to BCC The Other Side, where they unlock 3 bonus episodes every month, access to the BCC Discord, merch discounts, and the ability to upgrade to Riley's Cosmic Tier for exclusive music tracks from the show and Riley's beautiful mind. Here we go. Bray Bowers.
Thanks, Bray.
Owen Mondillo.
Thank you, Owen.
Matt Butler.
Thanks, Matt.
Jacqueline Levis Cosmeteer.
Thank you, Jacqueline.
Patrick Houston.
Thanks, Patrick.
Victoria Niels.
Thank you, Victoria.
Elizabeth.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Elizabeth Tess.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Chet Nelson.
Thanks, Chet.
Alan Kapowski.
Thanks, Alan.
Jordan Jones.
Thank you, Jordan.
Malaria.
Thanks, Malaria.
Sydney Good.
Thanks, Sydney.
And my favorite name of the week, Miss.
Thank you, Miss.
Now you join Miss and all of your friends over at patreon.com/BigfootCollectorsClub. For me, follow me on Instagram at McMills. Bryce, as of this recording, the strike, the SAG-AFTRA strike is over. Now, is there any movie project that you'd like to finally plug and let our listeners know that you might be in?
Oh my God, I was in Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. You guys got to go see it. Or better yet, do me a favor and get the DVD Blu-ray when it comes out. That's how I'll get paid.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was in that. And you know what? I actually play a member of the 509th Bomb Squad, that same atomic unit that picked up the Roswell debris field. So there's a little Easter egg in there for you. Oh my God. When
Amazing.
that strike, I was like, the night before it was about to open, I was like, I should promote this, right? And then the SAG strike hit, and I was like, fuck! But there you go. In case you missed it.
I know,
I'm
we
in
couldn't
Oppenheimer.
talk about it this entire time, but we had so many of you guys mention it and
Yeah,
write to
I
us
appreciate
and
it.
say that they saw you and how awesome it was to see you, and we didn't ignore those. I mean, we responded to some of them personally, but like we just couldn't talk about it on the show because we're
No,
not allowed to promote.
totally.
You're
Well,
like in one of
appreciate
the
all that
biggest movies of the fucking year. Yeah,
man.
it's great.
Anyway.
Exciting stuff. And then what else can they find if they hop on some of their
you can
streamers?
also stream Expedition Bigfoot, all 4 seasons on Discovery Plus and Max. So join the adventure there. And I'm on those socials as well. Continuing that conversation with me. I'm on Instagram at Mr. Bryce Johnson and on Twitter at Bryce O. Johnson. Look me up.
Fantastic. Congratulations on Oppenheimer, buddy. You're
Thanks, man.
fantastic.
Appreciate
and
it.
we're so happy for you. And we wish we could have said it earlier this year. Here we are, almost in December. All right, we're going to cross over to the other side for an exclusive video chat. We're very lucky because tonight's guest, John E.L. Tenney, is going to hang out with us some more, and we're going to get real out there. We're going to do a whole conversation based on a listener suggestion and see where it goes.
Right.
Should be really fun because Tenney always has something cool to say, and you'll be able to watch it over on the Patreon. So if we don't, that'll be on Friday. If we don't see you over there, we'll see you back here next Wednesday. Until then, good night.
And go get regressed. Bigfoot Collectors Club is executive produced by Michael McMillan, Riley Bray, and Bryce Johnson. Our show is engineered, produced, and scored by Riley Bray. Our theme song, Come Alone, is by Suneaters. Follow them on Spotify. Want more BCC? For exclusive full-length episodes every month and total access to the other side, check out patreon.com/Bigfoot Collectors Club.
Okay, sorry, we're back. We're back because John's, as we were signing off, said that he had a psychic premonition for one of us. So we're going to record it for posterity.
Psychic impression coming through, and I don't know who it's for. So I have a giant stone. Mm-hmm. Jessica and I just recently went to Big Rock, which is the largest like freestanding boulder in the United States. So I have this impression of like a giant rock.
Yeah.
And then I have I got to be fearless with this. I have a very cold feeling. It makes me want to go it makes me literally want to say burr, right? And then I got a map, and it seems almost maybe a little off center of directly in the middle of the country. So like maybe just a little west of center.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I'm definitely getting BR, like burr. And I don't know what that is.
Or be right back, right back.
No,
that could be,
it's a person telling me burr. They're literally the person is saying BR.
Whoa.
And then showing me this big rock, big boulder. That sounds right. Boulder sounds better than rock.
I love it.
Okay, I like this. Hey, it's a mystery puzzle. I like that we're recording it. We may, whether we include this or not, which I think we should, so everyone can we can remember this moment.
I need you
keep an eye out.
What were you going to say, Bryce?
To John's point, I think this is how this psychic thing works. You have to be fearless with it, to use your words. In other words, you can't sort of be prejudging these impressions when they come in, or question them ever so slightly, because if you do, it distorts them. And I think it's a muscle. So as soon as you start to accept these impressions, the more of them you'll get.
I know that no one can see me, but I have to look at a map of the United States. Hold on a second.
What were you saying right before Bryce jumped in? You were holding your hands really wide and saying something about the rock.
Big boulder.
West of center. I don't know.
I'm
like
Colorado is kind of there, Boulder, Colorado.
I mean, I grew up in Kansas City, so there's that too. But then my mind's also going like maybe someone's going to go someplace really cold.
Mm-hmm.
That giant rock.
Well,
I don't know. That's all I got.
Maybe we'll find some meaning.
We'll make note. Everybody make a note.
As we learned earlier, how the phenomenon works, it doesn't adhere to our timelines. Sometimes it'll line up like a celestial object. So who knows?
If this shit makes sense, like 6 months from now, I'll take it as a win.
Yeah,
there you
definitely.
go. Exactly.
Hey, I love something that feels like
I
said, it's always great when it feels like a miss, and then it becomes a hit. Just like this podcast, right?
That's right.